We're going to talk about something today that AMC owners have been paying close attention to. There's short selling, borrowing, and a bunch of other signs that keep making people wonder how AMC is traded behind the scenes. Recently, there's been a lot of talk about long-term valuation goals for AMC. For example, the company has been talked about as having a market value of $100 billion, and its shares have been trading at unusually high prices, like around $115 each. These ideas spread after comments on social media, including one that was credited to Weedman, D.C. Even though these numbers don't prove what the price will do, they do show that people are talking more about AMC's low value and ongoing problems with the way the market is structured. The price at which to borrow AMC shares is one of the most interesting changes. As the market normally would, demand for AMC shares has been going up, but all of a sudden, the loan fee went down. The loan fee usually goes up when there are fewer shares available and more people want to borrow them. That's how supply and demand work. But what happened was the opposite. At the same time, it was said that more than 85% of AMC deals were going through dark pools and not the exchange. When you put together rising demand, heavy borrowing, and dropping interest rates, you get questions right away. Historically, those things don't easily fit together. This is directly linked to something we talked about before, a white paper about synthetic assets that are meant to mimic the prices of real stocks, such as AMC. This paper first showed up in early 2021, and it was still being updated as late as January 27, 2026. It was said that these fake instruments were meant to let institutions track AMC price risk without actually owning the shares. A lot of people are worried that these tokenized representations might have let companies find fake AMC exposure instead of real shares. This would have made it easier to short AMC while keeping borrowing costs falsely low. Again, I'm not drawing any conclusions. I'm just making notes based on time and behavior. When we look at the big picture, we can see why these problems keep happening. These white papers keep getting updated, borrow fees drop all of a sudden, and people keep wanting AMC shares. This could also be the reason why some groups have pushed hard for wider tokenization, while others are against it because they worry about privacy. When shares like AMC and GME are hard to come by, these tools are especially helpful for people who are under a lot of stress. Now, let's talk about what goes on outside of the trade. Since about 85% of AMC deals happen outside of public exchanges, it's harder to figure out what prices are. Commentator Dade Murphy says that this trading pattern looks like a ladder pattern, which is something that short sellers have talked about publicly. A well-known short seller named John Hampton is one of these voices. He has spoken out against these strategies in the past. Even though he says he is no longer working for AMC, he still talks about short-side tactics that involve AMC and often brings up dark pool behavior. His words should be taken with a grain of salt, but they're in line with data that shows that a disproportionate number of retail deals are sent to dark pools. When we look at trade distribution, it seems that most individual orders are carried out off exchange, while professional and institutional orders have a bigger impact on price changes. This means that AMC's prices might not really reflect what people want to buy, even though there is still a lot of pressure to buy. Another important fact is that dark pool orders often have a lot of buys, but the price doesn't show that in real time. While AMC is showing signs of going up, this difference stands out even more. When volume goes up or candles light up to show that buyers are entering, the same patterns keep showing up. More people are using dark pools, borrow fees are going down, short pressure is back, and there is more talk about synthetic processes. From the point of view of pure price action, recent activity shows that buyers are trying to take back control. However, there is still selling pressure, even though data shows that long-term holders are not getting out of their stocks. This makes me think that what we're seeing might not be natural selling, but rather ongoing short-side action. Adding to this conversation are price problems that keep happening. AMC's price has flashed in strange ways many times, including times when it was around $150 per share. People have seen these kinds of things happen before, and most of the time they happen on AMC and GME. People in the community have talked about the idea that institutions may be doing over-the-counter deals at much higher prices, deals that don't change the price on the public market. Paying a premium privately is an option when companies need shares right away to control their risk. When we look at bigger changes in the market, this idea makes more sense. As an example, Nvidia's market value dropped a lot lately, about the same as $400 moving each share. Large-cap tech stocks, such as AI-focused companies, have been mentioned in the past as collateral used to back short positions in heavily shorted stocks like AMC and GME. If trillions of dollars in collateral are moving or going down in value, it wouldn't be strange if stress spreads other areas, like private share deals. From a valuation point of view alone, many people think AMC is still greatly undervalued, even without any squeeze stories. Broader measures are also acting in a strange way. Not long ago, the SPY showed a wick near 69.01. It's interesting that this is the same level that the crash bottomed at in 2008. This doesn't say what will happen, but it does show that the market is unstable and people are becoming less willing to take risks. When the market as a whole is under a lot of stress, stocks that are highly shorted often act differently. If the pressure in the system goes up, the physics of AMC and GME might become more important. In addition to this, comments thought to have been written by Michael Burr have come back, pointing out possible long-term market cap goals for GME around $100 billion. As long as short positions are still open, the pressure would not be contained if such a situation came about. It would include AMC and other stocks that are connected. Also, GameStop's business plan is getting more and more attention. White and Cassie's LLP, a company that focuses on mergers and acquisitions, is said to have worked with GameStop on a number of projects. Any strategic move made by GME could have a big effect on its value, and by extension, on the overall picture of short interest. Now, switching quickly to high-off mining, HYMC has been very volatile lately, going down for several sessions without any big news. Some of that movement was caused by falling silver prices, but the size of it made people wonder. A comment from Biotech, Moose talked about how strange the drop seemed. At the same time, familiar short side numbers gave IMC a hint of pressure in the style of a ladder. Even so, AYMC quickly recovered, ending the session up nearly 19.5%, which suggests that they were strong rather than weak. Diane Garrett, CEO of Hi-Raftoft, recently talked about how institutions are becoming more aware of critical minerals and how important they are to American industry. This fits with a larger trend that metals do better when the economy is unstable. Boss Blunt said that capital has been moving out of stocks and into metals, which is a normal reaction to worry. Indices like SPY are under a lot of selling pressure, but assets that are linked to silver are in high demand. Concerns about silver prices being manipulated have also come up again, backed up by past steps taken against banks. Kristen Shaughnessy talked about how debt, margin pressure, and claims of manipulation have shook silver markets in the past. She also said that demand is still high even though paper prices aren't stable. Premiums are still different from spot prices, which suggests that there is still pressure below the surface. The fact that gold recently broke above $5,000 is more proof that money is looking for safety. Analysts are already raising their price targets for silver to $150 before it even hits $100, which shows that they think it will keep going up. Finally, global risks are getting worse. In the U.S., Australia, and Japan, bond prices are going up, which doesn't happen very often when things are stable. When yields go up,